I'm going to have three friends come up and join me, three live specimens of working women. So if I could get Margaret and Elizabeth and Sophie to join me up the front, and you've got a microphone here to share, and I'm going to grab my notes from behind you. Thank you for sharing with us tonight. The aim of this is just to hear the sorts of things that these ladies have been doing in their working life so far and what they're doing now, and hopefully you'll find this an encouragement to yourselves. And I'm going to start with you, Margaret.
Okay.
What did you study at uni and how did that go?
Okay. When I first left school, I came to the University of New South Wales and I studied architecture for a couple of years. And after some time, my life wasn't going all that well, so I dropped out and got a job in a local company and got my life a bit back together. In that time, I got married. And then after that, I fell pregnant and then I had some children.
Right. Some children. How many children did you have?
I have 4.
4. Okay, that's some. That's some indeed.
It is.
How did the full-time mum career path go? What ministry opportunities did that open up to you? And what was life like as a full-time mum?
Okay, it was very busy. One thing I vowed was that after I had 4 children, I would not forget how intensely busy that is and very demanding personally, physically, spiritually, in every way. But one thing I was very sure about was my faith in Jesus, and I really wanted to make sure that I was able to pass on my faith to my children. And so a lot of those decisions were made with that in mind, that I thought God's blessed me with these kids and I would really want to do the best by them and see them grow up in the knowledge of God.
Fantastic. And over the time, was it mostly doing full-time mothering, or was there a mixture of work and being a mum? What did that look like?
For the first probably nearly 10 years I was at home just doing that, which was a wonderful privilege. After some time we discovered that it's very expensive raising children, and if we wanted to do anything at all in addition to, you know, say some occasional music lessons or go on a holiday, then I'd need to earn a bit more money. So I started some part-time work when my youngest was quite young, about 18 months or so, and continued in that job for quite a few years.
Right, right. And what sort of work was that?
It was a receptionist, admin, office admin role in a music school.
Right, right. And how was that in terms of having 4 children, and how many days a week were you working at the same time?
I was working school days I think it was about 4 days at the time during school hours.
Right.
And my husband was able to adjust his work time a little bit to mind the littlest one, or to look after her one morning a week. And it was actually quite in the school grounds of when my kids were at school. So that was also really nice. So it was one of God's provisions there. It was a lovely job, really lovely people.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Margaret. We're going to hear a little bit more about the next step in terms of your working life in a moment. But first, Elizabeth. Now, what did you study and how did that prepare you for the various roles in work that you've had over your life?
Well, a very long time ago, I did go to business college and I worked as a legal secretary, and then I went to Bible college, and then later on I did a business degree, majoring in accounting, and I also did some financial market studies. So
Right.
I've really done mostly office work.
And what sorts of office work have you done in terms of what workplaces have you worked at? What sort of work have you done?
Well, yes, I don't know whether I should continue. When I was at Bible college, I had actually hoped to go into full-time Christian work, possibly as a missionary, and but I wasn't exactly encouraged to go into to do missionary work. But I was certainly very much encouraged to go and work for in an office for the Australian Fellowship of Evangelical Students. So after I left college, I went there and I worked there for 12 years. And I must say it was a very exciting time working for an organisation which has such a wonderful mission field on the university campuses.
Could you move your microphone up a little bit further?
Okay.
Handheld mics are tricky.
You can tell I'm not up front and I'm not used to speaking in a microphone.
That's fine. We'll keep reminding you. So you were working with the Australian Fellowship of Evangelical Students.
Yes, And so after 12 years then I left and I started working for a small private financial services company. The boss is a Christian, and so I was working both in secular, and he was very keen on ministry. My predecessor there was not a Christian, so I think that made a little bit of a difference to the company and the things we did. And then later on, as that job pulled back, I started working for chartered accountants again with both Christians, non-Christians, secular and ministry opportunities. Right. And then, being very happy in both jobs and very comfortable, I was asked to consider to come to Moore College. That was a big decision. That was not an easy decision because I was very happy with what I was doing. It took me 4 months to decide to come here, and so I've been here now for 14 years.
Right. And what's your role here?
I think the title is Executive Assistant to the Principal, right. But that means anything.
And you were telling me as we were talking before that there's a highlight of your year in your work here at Moore College. What's the highlight of working here?
Right, yes. Well, definitely the highlight of my year is graduation. I'm the one that sits there and I silently and quietly cheer every person. I've probably seen close to 1,500 students graduate. So as they graduate, within myself I cheer, and the loudest cheer goes to those who go into student ministry.
So 12 years at AFES really sealed that in your heart. That's fantastic. Now, you married later in life than Margaret did. Mm. How did that affect the dynamic in terms of your work and home life and, yourself?
Well, certainly, by the standards back then, we did get married later in life. We had actually, I just thought I would work until we started a family. And that was not to be. We were not blessed with children. So I think that changed my outlook on work. How was I going to spend my time? Not just assume I would keep working until that day came. And so my values are a little bit different. Think, how am I going to spend my life? What is the most useful way? In serving the Lord, I'm not a missionary, but in what way can I serve the Lord in ministry with the skills I've got?
Mm-hmm. And practically, in terms of you worked for quite a while as a single person, and then you worked as a married person. Did that change sort of the way you went about work or the realities of life?
Probably for me, it didn't make that much difference because I have a very supportive husband. And he was quite happy with what I was doing. He was supportive, not interfering. So, yes, I was blessed in that respect. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll pass it on to Sophie, and I'll remind you, Sophie, to eat the microphone.
I will. Thank you.
Now, Sophie, same question as the others. What did you study at university?
I did a social work degree at UNSW.
And so then you worked as a social worker between now and then?
No, I managed to get a job avoiding full-time work altogether. I actually stayed on and did a 2-year ministry training apprenticeship straight after my degree at the University of New South Wales.
Okay, and what was the next step after that?
Well, I forgot. I got married in halfway through 4th year of university. So, and I married someone who was not going into full-time ministry. So I guess I knew my trajectory was going to be getting, serving God wherever I could in every day, in our local church and in my street, wherever I was. I hoped that it might involve motherhood. So I guess my theory was to get as equipped and trained as possible, and doing the ministry training was, of course, fantastic way to, I guess, think mission wherever I was and think ministry wherever I was.
Okay. So what did you do after your traineeship?
Well, actually, I had a baby straight away at the end of that 2nd year of my ministry training. So, and that was, he's just about to turn 21. So those years have been, doing more of what I have been doing meeting with people, reading the Bible. I'm a passionate scripture teacher. I help out wherever I can in the local church where we are, and look for ways. I guess I sort of see myself as a bit of an unpaid ministry, part of the ministry team, and just do whatever needs to be done. I did do some part-time work for about the last 8 or 9 years, which was helpful, as Margaret said, to bring in a little bit of pocket money. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, fantastic. And what are you doing now then?
Well, pretty much all the same things that my life has looked like for the last 20 or so years. But I do actually work here with Philip in the Two Ways Ministries office a couple of days a week. So that's me in admin and talking to the computer and
So,
people.
Just to flesh it out, so you've got 5 days a week. What does your week look like? Sort of what are you doing on which days?
Yep. So Tuesday is so Monday I'm in here at work. Tuesday I usually teach 2 or 3 scripture classes, pretty much back to back. I'm also involved in a mentoring program at another local primary school. So I've been involved, so doing scripture, I've been able to do that for the last 12, 15 years at the school where all my kids have gone through, our local primary school. The mentoring programs at another school. I try and have a lot of unstructured time where I meet up with people. I've got 4 kids, so they take a fair whack of time too. And my husband, who's great.
Fantastic. Now, Margaret, we might come back to you, so pass the microphone over. Now, you're on the next life stage on from Sophie, so your 4 kids are all grown up now.
They are.
So what do you do for work these days, and how did that come about?
Okay. So as my children were growing up, we made some decisions that required a bit more money. So I retrained as a primary school teacher. And then I started looking for work, and God blessed me with a wonderful job in a Christian school. So part of the job was not just teaching primary, but also discipling children in Jesus, which was wonderful to be paid to do that. So I did that for some years. I'm still a primary school teacher, but after the children had all grown up and left home, we had a bit more freedom. And I didn't need as much money, which was good, or we didn't as a family need as much money. So I've cut back to a part-time job, which has freed me up to do some other things. So I've done a little bit of scripture teaching. I was working in the Christian school until last year, so I've changed that. So I'm just trying to work that out from here.
Right. So where are you working now at this point?
I'm working in a state school now.
Right. Okay. And
That's different.
it is.
Different opportunities.
In
More
what
with the
ways
staff.
is it different?
More with the staff, I think. So it's more about developing relationships with, in terms of sharing Jesus, it's more about developing relationships with other staff members, whereas there's not the same freedom to share with the children.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, there's one all-encompassing question to ask each of you, and I think I'll ask Elizabeth first. So you've worked in mostly office work all your life. What advice would you have for the working women here, gleaned from your years of working full-time pretty much all your life?
Yes. I think, to put it simply, that if you're given a choice to choose what has the most eternal value, we can keep ourselves very busy with what looks good, but what is the best thing we can do for the Lord? I mean, trusting the Lord to guide us and lead us, but to think carefully about the options we take, whatever that would be, not just in the workforce, it can be, whatever form that takes.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Margaret, I might get you to answer next. What would your piece of advice be for working women here?
Okay. For women in general, I find a lot of women experience guilt about the decisions they make about work, and especially when you've got family involved as well. And so my advice is that you have an audience of one, but it's between you and the Lord. And that it's good to get advice from wise people, but ultimately be prayerful. Think about the impact that your decisions make on your family, both your immediate family and your extended family. Think about the impact it's going to have on your gospel opportunities and ministry opportunities, and then trust God that He will guide you in that decision. Yeah.
Thank you. And now, Sophie, you know the question. What's your answer?
Yep, I think prayerfully, as Margaret said, I think pray that God would open your eyes to the opportunities that are there every day. I think often we think ahead and plan ahead about the future without actually thinking what opportunities is today bringing for me to have a gospel conversation with someone, or to somehow move someone on to the next step, whether it's my kids, whether it's my neighbours, whether it's the mum in the school grounds or the lady I'm sitting next to on the bus, like looking for those opportunities wherever you are, and like thinking, I guess, missionally wherever you are, that this is our job, in everything we're doing.
Okay, well, thank you very much.